Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. So we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's second video. Day 10 will take us around the 4th of March. We'll be able to extend out beyond that, the estimated GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe around a couple of weeks. Going to have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video. For the next 4 weeks, that will take us into the second half of March. Of course, we'd normally be live streaming on a Wednesday. We'd normally be live streaming our 10 to 14 dayer. But having a little bit of a break on the midweek live streams for the time being. They'll come back in a couple of months, but for the time being, we're going to have a little bit of a rest with the number of live streams that we're doing. So we'll still do live stream every Sunday. That doesn't change. Got one more live stream to do on Friday night this week, then we'll rest the Friday night live streams for a little while as well, and then it'll all start coming back, as we move closer towards the summer. But just gives you a little bit of a rest, a little bit of a breather. It would have been a very, very, very busy winter. So, I'll get on with 10 to 14 day for you in a moment. Now, yesterday I told you that we've got GWV's merch coming soon. This is a prototype. Let me know in the comments what you think. This is a prototype for the GWV's mug. So, this is not finalised, just sort of playing around with ideas, but that potentially is going to be kind of how the GWV's mug comes out. So you could well be drinking your tea or your coffee out of that in a few weeks' time. And also I've been playing around with the face mask as well, so that potentially is how the GWV's face mask could look. So I think it looks quite good. I think the logo is absolutely fantastic, but we have the GWV's. So anyway, just a few ideas, playing around with possibilities, but merch is coming. And it'll be in a few weeks' time, maybe a couple of weeks, I don't know, when we'll have the first sort of batches. I think we're going to start off quite small, so it'll be like mugs and things like that, stickers, things that are very, very easy and simple. And then if it proves popular, then by the summer into the end of the year, maybe we'll start looking at things like t-shirts and hoodies that are a little bit more involved in creating. But start small, I think, and then if there's a demand, then expand. Eventually, it would be nice to do GWV's weather instruments, and I know quite a few of you have asked about that. As I said, but we're going to do some merch eventually. Quite a few of you have asked about doing weather instruments like barometers and weather stations and things like that. And I would love to do that, but that is much more involved and will probably take quite a lot of upfront money as well. So that I don't have at this point. But eventually, in a few years, it would be nice to be able to do like weather instruments for GWV's as well, and that would definitely be something that I would love to do. But at the moment, I think we start small and then we gradually get bigger. But anyway, there's a couple of prototypes for GWV's merch for you, and I'll keep you all updated as the process evolves, of course, and we get our first batches of merch going. Right, let's go on video then. Very, very, very mild day out there today in the eastern part of the country. Look at this. We've got 19 degrees. That is 66 Fahrenheit in old money, flashing away at Calais and also down there at Letoke. For into the UK, we've got 17 at Lakenheath, we've got 17 at Holbeach, we've got 16 at Norwich, 17 at Conisbee, Scampton is at 16 degrees, Wittering is at 16 degrees, Bedford is at 16 degrees, Wittering is 17 degrees. And these temperatures got a couple more hours to rise as well, so 18, possibly 19 degrees is not out of the question here across eastern parts of England. Exceptionally mild day for, 24th of February. We're still in winter and we're seeing temperatures more akin to May or early June. Not for everyone, though. It is cooler in the west. Estelmure is only at 7 degrees. It's probably pouring with rain. Mare Keswick is at 10 degrees. Real at just 10 degrees. Capel at 7 degrees. Valley at 8 degrees. It's going to be absolutely pouring with rain in these areas. So cold or cool and wet and very windy in the west. Mumbles is at 10 degrees. Cardigan 11 degrees. Up to Scotland, we've got Glasgow at 10. We've got Strathallan at 10. We've got Abbeymoor at 10. Aberdeen is only at 10, and down to Belfast, we've got 11 degrees at Belfast. So yeah, it's really, the warmth is really restricted to the far east and southeast. It's mild in the west, don't get me wrong, those temperatures are pretty mild. Only 7 degrees though at let's try somewhere else. Only 7 degrees at Estelmure, as I say. So yeah, like it's mild to it's cool. It's like average to mild in the west, but the far east and southeast is exceptional with the warmth today, and more akin to like May or early June, as I say. So these are the GFS upper temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at London today. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average. So you see that the upper air temperatures are exceptionally mild today. But once today is out of the way, the upper air temperatures will drop, only going down to around average. So it's going to stay mild. It just won't be as mild as it has been. We will lose these sort of upper teens Celsius and revert back to more sensibly mild temperatures, which is kind of like into double digits, just about getting into the teens. Probably. Temperatures take off a little bit again, though, through the course of next week. That will be associated with high pressure. Still got this cooling train as we go through the through into the second week of March. Still a bit of a cooling trend. The white line does revert back quite close to the long-term seasonal average then. In terms of the cold outlier temperatures, we've still got some of those. Not as many of them, but there's enough here to suggest that it does cool down anyway as we go further on into March after potentially a very mild start. A lot of dry weather to come for London as well. That's the next thing over the next week, 10 days. Not all that many precipitation spikes. Probably getting a bit more unsettled into the second half of March. And today's GFS is GFS operations are flirting around with the idea of like cold and stormy into the second week of March now. So we've had all sorts of options for the second week of March, hasn't we? There's been all sorts of possibilities. The latest idea from a GFS, you'll see it in a moment, is cold and stormy into the second week of March. We'll see about that. Temperature anomalies from the 24th of temperature anomalies from the 24th of February to the 4th of March are going to be milder than average through most parts of Europe, the UK and Ireland is included as that. The precipitation anomaly from the 24th of February to the 4th of March is going to be drier than average. Here's today's latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net showing winds are going to be in from a southwesterly direction today, and so the temperature remains very, very mild. Let's just have a look. I hadn't planned on doing this. Let's just have a quick look, if we can, at so we've got wind temperature. So let's have a look at the temperature overlay today, shall we? See how that one is looking. And I want to look at, so you see in terms of the temperature, yeah, bring up those mild temperatures. Have a look at particulates, shall we? Because I think there's quite a lot of dust being brought northwards across Europe. You can see some of that. Dust is being brought northwards from like Africa today. You can see that with the particulates pushing northwards. Not really getting into the UK, but there may be a little bit of it gets into the UK. But our wind is more southwesterly rather than southerly. So I think the dust is going to be more across the continent. Really, but we might get a little bit in towards more southern and southeastern areas, perhaps. Right, so this is how UK Met is looking for Saturday. High pressure will be dominating weather into the weekend, bring loads of dry weather. Yeah, fine conditions through the weekend into the early part of next week. Gradually by Tuesday, 2nd of March, that high pressure will begin to drift over towards the east side of Europe, and we may start bringing some showery rain back in from the west. But UK Met is pretty quiet quiet, up to the early part of next week. GFS midnight run, again, high pressure dominates the weather over weekend and into the early part of next week. Gradually, the high pressure will slip away to the east, will draw up a southerly wind, which will continue with mild weather, but could start to turn a bit more showery to the west. Later next week, start to turn a bit more unsettled from off the Atlantic, with this area of low pressure beginning to break down the ridge. And then as we go towards day 10, we begin to turn increasingly cold and unsettled. So this is day 10, actually the 6th of March, not the 4th of March, 6th of March. Of course, February is a shorter, it's a shorter month, isn't it? So day 10 is the 6th of March, bringing in this west-northwesterly, so begin to turn colder and more unsettled. And then deep low pressure starts to run in from off the Atlantic, bring heavy rain, maybe snow on the northern edge of that low pressure to the 7th of March, and like a gale force northerly wind. That's the kind of thing that can produce like an unexpected snow event for northern half of the country late in winter and early in the spring. With somebody tracking lows. So it's a long way off, but it's just the idea that GFS today is playing around with the possibility of like a cold and stormy spell into the second week of March. That carries on. Look, another low pressure pushes through. There it is, out to west on the 8th of March. By 9th of March, that's run across the south again, probably bringing heavy rain, maybe gale force winds, and maybe snow on the northern edge, as the jet stream begins to dig back southwards again. So today's idea for the GFS ops is for cold and unsettled and probably quite stormy weather, made with a return of snow for northern Britain anyway, into the second week of March. 6Z GFS looks like this. This is the latest one. So high pressure again dominating the weather over the next few days into the early part of next week. High pressure begins to weaken. Some lower pressure starts to come in from off the Atlantic Ocean. We keep a lot of high pressure going into the weekend of the 6th, 7th of March. Still in the south anyway, beginning to turn a bit more unsettled in the north, but the same idea from the 6Z, this deep area of low pressure in the Norwegian Sea starts to break down the ridge quite rapidly, and then we go off into a cold and unsettled spell of weather, maybe quite stormy, with this low pressure digging in from off the Atlantic Ocean. Maybe hints of northerly winds returning by the end of the GFS 6Z. That's the 12th March, long way out, but we have got a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge, and it looks like we're threatening to pull wind back into the north or the northeast, so potentially going much colder into the middle of March with the GFS 6Z, but it is a long way off. Right then, this is how the GEM is looking. So a high pressure will dominate the weather over the weekend into the early part of next week. High pressure will gradually slip over towards the eastern side of Europe and will begin to turn a little bit more showery from the Atlantic. But the emphasis is still on dry weather. Remember, high pressure begins to reform actually around Iceland as we move up towards day 10 and over the UK. So no sign of anything stormy with the GEM at all up to day 10, and basically high pressure dominates weather. It's a slightly colder ridge that though than the one we're starting with. Winds will be coming in from like north of east, so that is slightly colder with that ridge. Certainly a return of frost with that, but nothing stormy there at all. They've got the ECM looking mostly dry again over weekend into the early part of next week. Makes that turn a little bit more unsettled from the west. But the high pressure never really goes away, and the ECM just has a large ridge then from like the Azores all the way up to Scandinavia. Winds have gone into the east, but it's not a particularly cold easterly, but probably cold enough for night frost and that sort of thing, but not cold enough for snow, and mainly dry. Again, no sign of anything stormy with the ECM at day 10, so quite what the GFS is doing with this idea of cold, stormy weather developing for the second week of March. I'm not sure the GEM and the ECM are not going in that direction at the moment. Of course, they might do. We'll see. This second week of March, of course, all sorts of problems with model output lately, I have to say. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Going to be a lot of dry weather around in the coming days. Once we get like today's rain out from the west anyway, the emphasis is moving towards drier weather. A little bit of interruption there with some wetter weather around the 4th of March, but then we're back into high pressure again as we run up towards day 10. These are options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 6th of March. 20 members of the ECM ensembles, including the operational amber control run, have a large ridge extending through the UK from the Azores up towards Scandinavia. Going to be mostly dry with that one. 17 with high pressure just to the north of Scotland. Winds will be coming around from the east with that. And 14 with high pressure out to west, and winds are light going into west-northwest direction. They're all involving high pressure, just differing slightly in the placement of the ridge, but a lot of fine weather with that. These are the options that we've got in 2 weeks' time, in signs of a change, actually. So possibly the ECM ensembles are going in the same direction as the GFS, actually. Let's have a look at these. GFS operationals, I should say. Let's have a look at these. We have, this is for the 11th of March. We have 25 members of the ECM ensembles. No, we don't. We have 13. What am I talking about? 13 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure out to our west, breaking down the ridge. That's turning unsettled. 10 with deep low pressure over and to the east of the country, which combined with a mid-Atlantic ridge could be turning us cold and potentially stormy. Those 10 are going in the same direction as the GFS operationals, I think. 10, another 10 with high pressure to the south and low pressure to the north, income westerly winds. That's more unsettled and milder. 10 with high pressure just over and to the east of the country. That's going to be settled and probably very mild. Winds coming in from a southeasterly direction. And then 8 just here with low pressure over and to the east of the country. Heights trying to rise to the northwest. Again, that's very unsettled. Could be quite cold with winds in from a northeast direction. There are a few hints here of a change for the second week of February. But a change to what remains to be seen. Might go colder and stormier though. Lastly, CFSV2, these are 500 millibar heights broken out into week periods. The first week period takes from 24th of February to the 2nd of March. Coming week will be very mild and also pretty dry with high pressure over and to the east of the country. Week 2 will be the 3rd to the 9th of March with high pressure to our north. Winds will be going in to more of an easy direction. Again, mainly dry, but could be a little bit cooler as the air begins to pull round north of east. Week 3 is going to be the 10th to the 16th of March. High pressure then has retrogressed into the North Atlantic and up towards Greenland. Low pressure is over Scandinavia. Winds probably west-northwesterly. That could be a little bit more unsettled and a bit cold. It wouldn't take all that much of an adjustment. You can send that high pressure a little bit further north. To pull in a northerly, so that could almost go northerly there through the middle part of March, which of course would be cold. And then week 4, another change, and this is spring. It's the 17th to 23rd of March. High pressure then is around the Bay of Biscay, and we're drawing up a very mild, or potentially very mild, southwesterly low pressure around Greenland, Iceland. That's spring, undoubtedly. If you enjoyed this video, please can you smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. You'll be able to see future weather content. Tell your friends, family, and everybody else to subscribe. That'll be absolutely fantastic. We are grinding to 11k subs, although the subs have slowed down a lot, so we're not going to get to 11k for quite a few weeks, I don't think. But eventually we'll get to 11k. If everybody who subscribes brings a friend, we will get to 11k that much quicker. So thank you so much for doing that. Drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Yeah, thumbs up. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, that's it for your videos for today. So a quieter Wednesday evening on the channel. No live stream tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with the European outlook, and we're going to have a 10 to 14 day as well tomorrow as well, so come back for tomorrow's videos. For today's videos though, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.